some outriders there from the Garda traffic unit, the Irish Police Service. So it looks as though that procession is about to start pretty much on time now. It will proceed just further south down that street is the area called Ballsbridge, and that's where Shane MacGowan and his wife Victoria Mary Clark had been living in the recent years. And you can just see a glimpse there now in their distinctive blue uniforms. That is the Artane Band, formerly known as the Artane Boys Band. It's a very famous marching band for young people here in Ireland. They traditionally perform at events like the Gaelic football and hurling finals, the All-Ireland finals each year, and they're very well known. They are going to be leading this procession as well as a piper, I believe. They're just turning left there now onto Ringsend Street, and that will bring the procession right into the heart of Dublin City. We're expecting this procession to last for the majority of the next hour, really. And you can see there now, just coming into shot, the horse-drawn carriage. The crowd applauding the coffin of Shane MacGowan as he's brought on this last journey. The family extremely keen to have a public element to this funeral. And they're just turning there now onto Ringsend Road, and that will bring them across McMahon Bridge and onto Pearse Street and down further into the heart of Dublin city centre to give fans and well-wishers an opportunity to say their final farewell to, as you say, a real icon of Irish culture, of Irish pop culture. Born in England, of course, but to Irish parents. He then returned at a young age to County Tipperary, where I'm speaking to you from now.
Shane MacGowan's funeral star studded Pogues icon, pioneer. Johnny Depp is one of the stars. Applause erupted from crowds which formed a guard of honor as the fairy tale of New York singer's hearse made its way to the church. Shane MacGowan's funeral is celebrating the legendary Pogues frontman's life as a poet, lyricist, singer and trailblazer. Hundreds of mourners gathered at the star-studded funeral service to say their final farewell to the fairy tale of New York icon at the Mary of the Rosary Church in Nenagh, Tipperary. Applause erupted from crowds which formed a guard of honor as the fairy tale of New York singer's hearse made its way to the church. Hollywood actor Johnny Depp, a close friend of Shane's, was among those in attendance along with President Michael D. Higgins and former Sinn Féin leader Gerry Adams. Depp delivered a reading, while a recording from U2 frontman Bono was played during the Mass. Music stars Nick Cave, Imelda May, and Liam O'Maonley all delivered emotional performances. And a spine-tingling version of the Christmas smash hit Fairy Tale of New York was belted out by Glenn Hansard and Lisa O'Neill. MacGowan's heartbroken wife Victoria told mourners how the music icon didn't like the idea of death. She said, "Everybody who knew Shane knew how much he hated funerals. It was very hard to get him to go to a funeral. There were very few that he did go to, his mother's funeral, Ronnie Drew's funeral, but very few others. He didn't like the idea of death. He didn't want to talk about his own death, ever. He didn't believe he was going to die, ever. When I met Shane, when we got together, people started telling me that he would be dead within about 6 months because he was such a hard drinker." She added, "He always assured me that he would live to be at least 80. It took us by surprise. It took all of us by surprise, because we really did believe that he would come home. So it was a huge shock." Victoria, who married Shane in 2018, said how he was intensely religious, added, "He was very grateful to be alive." She also spoke of his forgiving nature and inability to hold a grudge. Full of love, speaking on their love, she said, "He was just so full of love and I'm feeling so much love now from him that I don't think he can go away. I don't think that love can go away." Ex-Sinn Féin President Adams delivered the first reading of the service and told how MacGowan's wife, Victoria, asked him to say a few words in tribute. He said, "My words are words of gratitude. gratitude for Shane's genius, for his songs, his creativity and his attitude, he said, adding how he was grateful for MacGowan's celebration of the marginalized, the poor, the exiled and the underdogs. Adams added that MacGowan lifted us out of ourselves, and never gave up. This was followed by Imelda May, Liam O'Mayonlai and Declan O'Rourke performing the song You're the One. Gifts presented a record by the Pogues and another by Led Zeppelin were brought to the altar as symbols of MacGowan's life. Other items gifts included a Tipperary flag, a Shannon Rovers jersey and a Hurley. A tray that Spider bashed over his heading during a Pogues gig was also brought to the altar, along with some of his favorite books, such as Joyce's Finnegan's Wake, and a packet of tea as MacGowan had so many each day of his life. Singer Nick Cave performed a moving version of the Pogues' hit A Rainy Night in Soho, while Camille O'Sullivan and Mundy did a rendition of the song Haunted. Following this, actor Aidan Gillen delivered a recording of Bono, who could not make the Mass. Reciting his reading was also played out in the church. Prayers of the faithful were read by a number of famous faces, including DEPP. He called for those in attendance to pray, saying, "May we feel the pain of others, understand their need and reach out to all who suffer in any way with a continuous love that is rooted in faith and peace." They prayed for peace, love and forgiveness, doctors and nurses, homeless people, people suffering addiction, the natural world, immigrants and the displaced, and those suffering from poverty and hunger. This was followed by a performance of A Man You Don't Meet Every Day by Shane's former bandmate Kate O'Riordan and John Francis Flynn. Kate described the piece of music as an old folk song Shane loved. Shane's sister Siobhan MacGowan thanked all of those who played a part in her brother's life in her eulogy. She told mourners, "We will be eternally grateful to you. Sister's pride," she added. "I think Shane would have enjoyed that actually. That's some send-off for my brother." The heartbroken sister also told how proud she was of her brother, and recalled his 60th birthday celebration in the National Concert Hall when he received a Lifetime Achievement Award from President Higgins. Siobhan said, "He dreamed of one day being a teller of stories and singer of songs. When the president put that award within his hand, he knew he had achieved that dream." She added, "You did what you said you were going to do in those long ago days in Tipperary, and you did it with such heart and fire. A fire that is not dimmed by death, for you have lit that fire and it burns now in Ireland and all over the world. And so Shane, with words from Dad and I, your little sister and your father, we are so proud of you. So very proud of you, our darling. I told you I'd always love you, I always did and I always will." In the homily, delivered by Father Pat Gilbert, mourners heard how MacGowan had a depth and a sincerity that wasn't often picked up by people. Fr. Gilbert said also told the congregation how MacGowan's widow Victoria Mary Clark had cared for him until his death. "Strong bonds of love," he said. "I know he adored you, Victoria, and you him, and you were so loving, supportive and kind throughout your lives together. You carried and cared and caressed him right to the very end. I am also aware of the strong bonds of love and affection that knit you together as a family, Maurice, Siobhan and Anthony. I know that you all will miss Shane terribly. A voice, a presence around you and with you, is suddenly silent, and coping with that loss is always difficult." Fr. Gilbert told how he grew up listening to the music of Lizzie, the Horslips, the Rats, the Undertones and the Pogues. He said, "I grew up listening to the music of Lizzie, the Horslips, the Rats, the Undertones and the Pogues. As teenagers, the music and the lyrics alerted us to what was happening around us. There was also the pride of being Irish. What they could say, sing and share was right and reasoned as far as we were concerned. In fact, Shane and the Pogues made it international and cool to play the tin whistle, banjo or accordion. Trailblazer, speaking about the iconic singer, he continued, a poet, lyricist, singer, trailblazer, Shane reflected life as lived in our time, calling out accepted norms that oftentimes appear unacceptable. But, in order to speak, to be heard, and to have that revolutionary edge to life, the first step is to listen. And Shane listened. Mary's character in the gospel story listens, and she is deemed to have chosen the better part. In listening, she recognizes the revolutionary Jesus who would eventually take mortality on, so life could have another round. There Lazarus would feature in the prequel to his own resurrection. He listened to the plight of the sister's grief. His listening morphed into something life-giving. Our poet, lyricist, singer and trailblazer, gave successive generations the benefit of his listening to the disquiet of life. Shane spoke and sang from the listened depths of his own journey, and in doing so, as poets, lyricists and trailblazers do so well, he spoke to life's realities for the many who are numbered as his fans. Life-giving words. As for Martha, she responds to Jesus with those life-giving words. Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Messiah. Your life gave growth to so many of us, Shane, and your bright light gave salvation to our often dark and empty skies. Not the end, not the end, not the end. Just remember that death is not the end. Rest in peace, Shane. As the Mass ended, Pal DEPP carried MacGowan's coffin out of the church as the Pogues sang the parting glass in memory of the iconic musician. Earlier today, thousands of MacGowan fans lined the streets of Dublin as the Irish icon began his final journey home. MacGowan's funeral procession was driven through the south of the city, where Shane lived happily with wife Victoria for many decades, before heading for the funeral mass in Tipperary. The procession started from South Lots Road and travelled down Pierce Street and onto Westland Row. The horse-drawn carriage was accompanied by the Artane Band and a lone piper who performed his hit songs in a special tribute. Fans travelled from all over the country to say their final farewell to the singer, and they could be heard singing some of his greatest hits throughout the procession. This included Dirty Old Town and Fairytale of New York. Fans were also seen throwing flowers towards the hearse, draped in the tricolor, as it passed.
I have not little Christmas Eve. You promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You're handsome, you're pretty, queen of New York City.